All right, we are live. Good morning, y'all. What is today? We got Monday, November 17th, and we're going to day trade NASDAQ futures. So today should be pretty interesting. It's Monday with no news. It's FOMC week, so we have FOMC Monday today, and that means typically one-sided delivery. One-sided delivery being we don't really see a reversal in New York AM session, but it's all possible. Overall, I have a bearish bias, but where we're at in the charts is a zone I'd actually be interested in a long setup. So we got 2 minutes, 1 minute till 9:30 open, and let's see what it delivers. Yeah, I'm not in a rush to take a trade, but it looks like it's two things. We had the overnight session actually deliver price, which kind of means to me I can anticipate the possibility of New York session being choppy and sideways. Since London at 3:50 a.m., it's delivered about 350 handles, so about 1,300 ticks. We have liquidity here. Sell side has been taken, so let's see what's going on. What happens? Looking for any SMT at these lows. Looking over here on my 1 hour chart. We do have bullish SMT formed with YM down at these lows. We do have this fair value gap right here that could be inverted. Curious, 150 ticks. Just kind of sizing things up, about 75 per contract. So today's a lower risk day. Using wider stops today too, possibly. NFP week, the delivery tends to be a little less precise. Wicks can be larger. So far, the first 1 minute candle is delivering down to the previous day equilibrium after taking sell side liquidity. So we're still lots of buy side targets remaining. Don't really want to see it start closing bullishly quite yet. I want to see a few more candles form. So YM is leading bearishly so far. ES is in the middle, and NQ is the lagging asset. Looks like NQ does want to sit here, does want to close above that gap. So let's see what it does. It's just going to rocket, isn't it? All right, placed a limit order. I don't think it's gonna come back for me. but let's see. 9:32, a little early for my liking, but we shall see. We're losing the bearish SMT. Is that accurate? Or the bullish SMT? Don't know if I like that. I'm gonna check around, see if we have any other SMT. Makes me wanna reconsider this. I'm still looking for SMT. Here would have been. All right, too far away from my order level and too close to my TP. So this is part of the game. This is to be expected. You just have to expect this to happen. Like, you can't get upset and say, well, my model formed, but it didn't give me an entry and chase price. Like, that's a part of the game. So here for how I trade, I wouldn't take the retest typically. Ooh, huge text. It's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Beautiful trade though, or beautiful price action. The only thing here I could have done different is sometimes when you get a close like this, that's above a series of like these little mini swing points, sometimes it does this where you want to pick, this is the breaker. But given this expansion here, I was expecting even just a little bit of a retracement. So didn't happen. But this is such a small little swing, I really wouldn't have expected that. So we just wait. I mean, it's nice to be right. And while I wasn't initially thinking of looking for longs, I checked in with my mentor, one of my mentors this morning, and he was interested in longs, and that reminded me that, right, I can also look for, I was initially just wanting to look for shorts, so I would have waited, initially was thinking waiting for a push up and then waiting to short back down. So that's the trade I'm going to be waiting for now, is the trade I originally wanted. But then he reminded me, just in seeing what he was thinking a little bit, that this was like a perfect zone for longs and to be on the lookout for a long setup as well. So clean the chart up there. Now what? Well, we're in the zone for, let's check out the higher time frames. So the 4 hour came down and balanced out this inefficiency completely, taking this liquidity. Depending on how this candle closes, that's actually really looking very bullish. Don't really have any. We have a bullish SMT down in here at the bottom of this swing low. Nothing right here on the 1 hour. So the 1 hour is a little floppy to me. Like it closed below, confirming this bearish breaker. Well, there's originally this bullish breaker, then it closed below, confirming this bearish breaker, took liquidity. Now, I was so this is the move I was anticipating to some extent, was we came down overnight, right? Come down somewhere into this equilibrium and then push back up, which is exactly what it's doing right now. We'll clean this up a little bit. All that, well, I want to leave that. We'll just do that. So there was a gap forming here, did not end up forming. There's still a gap up in here, so this is 50% of this swing here. So to some extent, I'm wondering if this is the Judas move up for more bearish delivery. So we'll just hang on for a few. We got the 950 macro coming up here in 7 minutes. One of the things is this is an important week not to push it. When there's a non-farm, I think I said FOMC earlier. There is FOMC meeting minutes this Wednesday, but it's non-farm that's the red folder event that I was actually referring to earlier. That's the week where we can just see price delivery not so precise. Today it looks actually not so bad. We got unemployment claims on Thursday, non-farm, and then FOMC meeting minutes. So we do have previous day high somewhere right in here. I don't know why I reset it and it makes it so small. It's not showing on my indicator for some reason, but market. Going to be a resistance level. Midnight opening still above. Still forming bullish delivery. This gap here, a little bit of a consolidation. $13 until this current 4-hour candle and 1-hour candle close, which will be quite telling. So this is quite bullish delivery. Starting to make me think that the short idea is gonna not happen. We shall see. Just going through the different time frames here. So with that long, even so now I'm not looking like, I'm not seeing any bullish SMT. So it technically wouldn't have been a valid trade Anyway. Oh. Oh, that's a lower low. Maybe there was a PD array. I'm not going to look on the 5-minute for any SMT. Maybe there's a PD array SMT. No fair value gap down here. So that was possibly a form of SMT. So this is unusual. Typically Mondays, no news Mondays, and FOMC Mondays, we don't see two-sided delivery like this. One of the reasons I was expecting, not expecting much out of today. So here we're still forming these gaps up. We have down closed candles supporting up closed candles. Blue line is midnight open. We wait. But I'm still pretty happy. The old me, maybe earlier this year, would have been scrambling to try to get in on this. When price was moving like this, maybe I would have even marketed order in on this candle here, and sure that would have worked out this time, but there's a big difference between being in control and FOMO, and I feel pretty happy when I look at this because the technicals is easy. Like, you just study it, you learn it, you learn how to read candlesticks, you learn patterns and shapes, you learn narrative and bias and all this other stuff. Because you just like learn it. It's not deeper than that, it's knowledge. But over here, this is like deep emotion, primal instincts can take over, saying, I need to take this trade so I can make the money to be a provider for my family, or whatever the narrative is in your head. And that's the hardest part of trading. But you learn the technicals first. You learn your model. You learn reading price. You start learning bias and narrative. And then once you figure out how to play the game, no different than knowing the rules to a sport and how it works, and then you put your knowledge into practice. But what's different about trading is the emotions have such a huge impact on what you do that very quickly emotions override the technicals. Like in sports, you know, you can soccer or whatever, you're not going to get too emotional over every play. And so your skill in the game is sufficient. But here in trading, your skill in technicals is not sufficient because you're triggering, you know, you're playing soccer. It's not life or death. It doesn't trigger any primal instincts, any concerns of worthiness for yourself as a father and as a provider. But here in trading, it does. And so it's one of the things I'm most grateful for when it comes to trading, actually, is how much it's caused me to grow as a person. And I've always been into personal development. I've spent years and years and years of my life going to seminars and workshops and diving deep into all the stuff, even the hippy dippy stuff, to try to help master myself. And trading has by far been one of the most challenging things, similar to like a relationship with your wife or girlfriend or whatever. That's a place where you're constantly being challenged emotionally, you know, your identity, your ego, self-worth, things like that. And trading, these charts, that's the other place. And for example, I spend more of my morning preparing my mind than I do preparing my charts, because it's easy to read these charts and be like, yeah, we could probably go up from here. And I know, here's a good spot for a long. And I know there's all this liquidity up here. So I'm like, yeah, I can reasonably presume that this is a reasonable spot for a long, right? Okay, simple. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I get stopped out. But so I spend more of my time in my morning preparing my mind, preparing my expectations for the day. Like, I visualized this happening today. I visualized not getting an order fill and price just spooling without me. So I wasn't phased when it actually happened, right? I also visualized getting stopped out. I visualized getting the win without emotion. And I go through all these like checklists. Like, this is my pre-trade mindset checklist. So depending on what phase I'm at, am I waiting for a setup? Have I spotted the setup and I'm waiting for an entry? So for example, I spotted the setup and waited for the entry, and that's what's happened right here. Here it says grounding my expectations. You may or may not get an entry into this trade, and that is part of trading. Percentage of moves you will miss. Don't FOMO, stick to the plan. There will be a trade later if you don't get in. No one can predict what the outcome will be. And then second step, have you accepted the risk of the trade? So I have all these checklists in my free Discord. If you're interested, there's a link below the video. But let's check out price. Still just one-sided delivery. I'm starting to think less that this is going to be the Judas. It's just so large. 1,100 ticks. And this is the other hard part of trading, is the waiting part. It's the craft of the trader is waiting. In backtesting or replay trading, you can just click forward for another hour on these candlesticks and get to another possible setup. Here you just sit. And the more you sit, the more the odds tilt in your favor. And we've got 3 minutes till the next hour. But I'm just waiting still. Woo. Got my chai tea. I quit coffee 2 weeks ago. A little over, I think it's let's see here. Wow, Friday was 14 days, 2 weeks, so that means Saturday, Sunday, Monday, roughly 17. Hasn't been easy. I also got a cold last week or whatever, so I was feeling pretty bad. But I felt that, and I drank way too much coffee, especially for my age. I would have anywhere from 2 to 4 on average double shot espressos per day. If I had a bad night of sleep, maybe I had to have 5 or 6 double shots, like strong espresso. When I go to like a coffee shop like Starbucks or whatever, it just tastes like milk to me when you get a latte or a shot in milk. Kind of checking out what's going on here. But I realized that the caffeine was probably affecting my life in more ways than I knew. I also wondered if it was affecting my trading, coming into the charts with veins pumping full of caffeine. I didn't figure it was a good thing, right? These are all, the candles already punk you out enough, create enough emotion, and figured it was time to at least try, see if I could improve my life, take my life to the next level. And I didn't feel caffeine was helping me get there. It was draining my energy. I was not able to get through days without just slugging through it. So I decided to quit drinking coffee. And it's been a weird experience, maybe because I was drinking so much. Like my wife can stop coffee and doesn't phase her at all. She drinks like a cup a day, sometimes less. But man, the world's slower. I feel flat. Feel like I'm not sure who I am. Like not carrying around a coffee all the time, and I have these chai lattes, which is nice. Lots of good herbs and spices in here. It was really weird. So here's an order block. Change in state of delivery, same thing. I'm not, well, this is what I was expecting. I'm just not certain I'm interested in the short now at this level. If it came back up into here, took some liquidity down in this fair value gap on the 1 hour, probably would be interested. I'm not sure if I'm interested quite yet. We do have all this trend line liquidity. Tapped into a 1 hour fair value gap actually. Here is the wick of the 1 hour candle. We have all this inefficient space below. There is a bearish SMT. So I was looking for a short from this gap. Here this candle closed above this candle. This 4 hour closed inside of this 4 hour candle. That's a bullish continuation. But we have a huge wick. Huge. So here I was expecting price to come down, retrace, and deliver further to sell side. I'm not certain it wants to do that anymore. We are in overall a bearish downtrend, so that's why I'm going to typically lean a little more bearish on the 4 hour here. This isn't a very large inversion. My data shows that these smaller inversions have less of a hit rate. Typically want to see multiple inversions. Like here on this setup, we had these inversions. It's this gap here, multiple inversions, inversion here. That's what I like to see. This is the previous week's equilibrium, previous month equilibrium. Delivering to sell side though, so would have taken that trade and would have been a winner. It did not look A plus in my eye, or even A. So with the way the 4 hour closed, the 1 hour closed, we got some nice movement. The shorts and longs are all feeding today. So do we get a continuation long setup? Here's some equal lows that have been taken. Like this gap here, if it stays this way, is nice. Might not stay this way, but there's a bearish breaker right here. So this is 50% of the 1 hour candle, the previous 1 hour candle. Right in here, it's a good spot for a reversal. Lower would be 50% of the 4 hour wick, somewhere down in here. There is no local SMT. $124 per contract. I could tighten that up too, I'm sure. So we tapped into a 15-minute fair value gap. Not sure I'm sold on it though. We have bearish SMT at the highs. And still a lot of liquidity down. Obviously, it's not going to be a valid setup at this point, so no point in even thinking about it. YM is kind of consolidating. ES and NQ relatively in sync. NQ appears to be the leading asset. All this trend line liquidity forming through here. 50% of this range. %50 of the 4-hour wick, also right here. So it's distributing to sell side with some momentum. So 240 ticks for that gap. 120 risk per contract. Okay. So this 1-hour candle traded down first. So time's not matching. We're outside of a macro. At 2 minutes, 3 minutes on this candle. Tough call. That's close, but maybe not close enough. Maybe well, it's 7 more minutes, at which point there might be too many candles forming through this inversion for my interest. There's also, we are still lacking that bullish SMT. Today's testing my patience for sure. So even the SMT indicator isn't picking anything up, which this indicator is awesome. It's the only paid indicator I've actually ever cared for and actually use. But it's nice. It's a one-time fee, draws a bunch of SMTs for you, so you don't have to eyeball them all. But there's a link below the video if you're interested in having the SMTs drawn out for you. It gets most of them. I would say it gets 90% of them. Kind of have these equal lows. So we're just chopping. So here's the next macro window right here, 20 to 40. You can see I like this indicator because it just kind of makes me have to think less when my windows are. Geez, I mean, that's 297 handles, 1,200 ticks from 930 to 950. So it's possible that with a distribution leg and a distribution leg, it could just range for the rest of the morning session. Just kind of keeping that in the realm of possibilities. So here we do have a bearish SMT. We have 15-minute SMT. We have a bearish SMT here. YM forming an inversion right there. Coming down a little lower than I would like to see for a long. But we'll see. All right, SMT forming down here. Those lows were taken. Currently in the 1020 to macro. Not sure I like it though. Let's look around, see what's going on the other time frames. So here on the 15-minute, it's feeling kind of heavy. Wanting to balance this whole gap out, and keeps flipping this this week's new week opening gap. There is a bullish SMT down in here finally, combined with bearish SMTs. NQ and ES are relatively in sync. YM is just kind of in the middle. So the 1 hour, it keeps flipping this fair value gap right here. I don't care for that. If it was inverted and closed above, I would like to see it stay relatively above that. Though this large range of the previous 1 hour candle that did come down into the 50% of that, seeing some sensitivity from this candle body low, and then came into the 50% of the previous 4 hour candle's wick. But we have stop hunts on both sides. I feel like it might range for a day or two. Like, I'm wondering if this is what we're looking at this week for a few days. Just ranging in here. Back over here. Don't like all of this liquidity down in here. Got some trend line liquidity building up. This to me is a signature for a lower probability trade in conjunction with this kind of consolidation phase around this inversion. So it might close above, but these are the setups that I feel like I tend to lose a lot more. Not even feel like my data shows me, it's like, I forget the percentage, but like 15% more likely to be a loser if it looks like a consolidation surrounding a breaker or an inversion like this. So I'm just going to remove that inversion. All right, so it's balancing out some of that liquidity. Oh, excuse me. Just making notes here for myself to come back later why I didn't like something. But here we got price kind of consolidating. I think it's going to consolidate for a little while in this macro. I'm going to go grab something. Oh boy, going sideways still. All right, well. I was hoping it would do something. Took these equal highs, created an inversion. Really, there's this inversion. Retested. It's probably going for these lows. I think it's just going to be a little sideways. 5 minutes sideways, 15 minutes looking choppy. I feel like this is low probability right here. So I think for me, I think I've seen enough. I'm not interested in price right now, looking like this. Because even if it does come down in here, I don't care for a long. I just don't care for anything I'm seeing right now at the moment. Maybe in an hour or two, maybe, but I'm not going to stream that long. So I'm going to shut it down and eat my breakfast. And try again tomorrow. That's how it goes sometimes. So no trades today. I set a limit order right down in here on top of this breaker, and price never filled it and ran without me. I was originally interested in a short, so I was expecting to move up into here. I didn't like this setup though, so didn't take anything there.